everybody. Welcome back to the TuVues podcast, where we talk about politics, social issues, and more. Happy to be with y'all today. Excited for the message we're going to bring to y'all today, the discussion we're going to have. So I'm Dr. Keith. Just glad to be with y'all today, and hopefully we can be insightful into someone's life.
Yeah, y'all know it's your boy KFG in the building. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. Hey, that's my song. All right, we're in the building.
Man, people get waves and glasses and just think they got vocals, boy.
First of all, I always have waves. I stay with waves, so don't hate. Hating ain't good for you. You don't look good on your dot.
Ball spot.
All right, man. Y'all know how we always start this thing off, man. Shout out to the Lakers, man. Shout out to the Lakers, man. They finna do their thing. They ain't probably gonna go past the next round, but still. Shout out to the Lakers.
Yeah, they ain't going past this round.
With Ja out, it's a wrap. With Ja out, it's a wrap, bro. With Ja out, it's a wrap.
Ja out, it's a wrap, right? He may be back by game 3, but it's what you also got to understand. AD is bound to drizzle at some point.
Man, that man, that's Mr. Glass, man. Bro can't.
Man, Barkley called him street clothes.
Bro, you touch him, he out. Like, it killed me. All right, man, here we go.
Barkley called it.
KFG's top five. Y'all know how we do it, man. We do this top 5 every time, man. Just for a little fun, a little bit. So today's top 5 gonna be pretty interesting, man. We're gonna go top 5 90 sitcoms of all time. Top 5 90 sitcoms of all time. Go first, Doc.
All right, let me kick it off. Hey, you said we only can have 3 honorable mentions, right?
Man, let's start limiting our honorable mentions. We be getting out of control with these honorable mentions, man.
Yeah. Well, I got 5, but I'm gonna cut it down.
Oh man. The new limit for now on gonna be 2, bro. It's gonna be 2.
All right, 2. So start today 2.
You can do it. A certain day we can do 3 if you got 3, because I got 3. But after this, man, it's gotta be 2. Man. We gotta limit these
I'm gonna go my 3 honorable mentions. I'm gonna go Roseanne, Home Improvement, and the Steve Harvey Show.
Well, I forgot about them too.
I'm gonna go Roseanne, Home Improvement, and the Steve Harvey Show. That's my 3 honorable mentions.
Okay.
Let's go with number 5. I don't care if you was born in the 90s and you say you didn't like this show and you don't remember their phone number, you lying. Full House is my number 5. All right. If you ain't like Michelle, if you ain't like the Tanners, you're lying. All right. My number 4, I'm gonna go to Cosby's. Even though they milked they went from the 80s to the 90s. I'm gonna go with the Cosby Show.
Are they considered the 90s?
Yeah, they technically consider the 90s. Okay. So I'm gonna go with the Cosby Show. Then my number 3, man, I'm gonna go with Urkel and Family Matters as my number 3. I'm gonna have to go with the Family Matters. My number 3, my number 2, and people argue about numbers 2 and 1 all the time. But my number 2 is The Fresh Prince. And my number 1, man, I don't care. We can argue all day about this sitcom. My number 1 sitcom all time is Martin. Martin is the best sitcom of all time.
There's no argument. I got one problem with your list, though.
People gonna say Friends. They're gonna say Seinfeld. Man, Martin is the greatest sitcom of all time. Period. What's your argument?
It's a part of my list. I'm gonna tell you my argument right now. So I'm gonna go with my 3 honorable mentions, right? So I got Living Single, Full House, and I got Step by Step as my 3 honorable mentions.
I got some that's Step by Step. I'll mention them later.
All right. My number 5 is Boy Meets World.
If you don't get out of here, man. I love
Boy Meets World, boy.
I love Boy Meets World.
Topanga did something to me.
Yeah, I love Boy Meets World, kid. But number 5, bro.
Number 5 is Boy Meets World, bro. Number 5 is Boy Meets World. All right, my number 4. I can't believe you had this on your list. Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions.
Saved by the Bell. My number 3 is Fresh Prince. 3 is Fresh Prince.
bro. Okay, we fighting.
Bro, my 2 is Roseanne. You know I love Roseanne. I've always loved Roseanne.
I know.
I've
But I know
always
you love
loved
Roseanne. But
bro.
come on, Kev. I know. But come on, Kev. Come
I've
on,
always loved
Roseanne over the
bro.
Prince. Over
I always
the Prince.
loved Roseanne, bro. That was my show.
Come on, man. Come on.
So we got Roseanne as my number 2, and I'm with you, man. Ain't no other better sitcom in the '90s than Martin. You don't get no better than Martin, man. It's hard to top Martin.
That ain't no damn puppy.
Hey, it's hard to top, man. The greatest episode ever. That was the greatest episode. And Rhythm Spoons, bro. Rhythm Spoons. Man.
And the Players Ball.
Players Ball,
my
bro.
Time, wasting my time.
Bro, when Martin had the dog, though, bro, and you hear the backstory of that, man, it make it even funnier, man. It make it even funnier.
Hey,
but yeah, that's my top 5.
So you hit my other honorable mention of my 5 that I had, which was Saved by the Bell. But this one I think is so underrated, man. And it used to be one of my favorite shows, and you're gonna think I'm crazy. And that's Will and Grace. I still love Will and Grace.
Yeah, I like
it's
Will
so
and Grace
underrated.
Too. Hey, what was my what was it? I used to like Reba. There was another one though.
I know where she had the kids. She's a single mom with the kids.
Yeah. What was that show? I should love that show too. It's on the tip of my tongue, but that was a good one too.
Oh, I can't believe you didn't have Home Improvement, man. Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
I didn't think about it.
That surprised me, bro.
I didn't think about Home Improvement, man. Is that considered a sitcom though? Yeah, it would be. It'll be a sitcom.
Yep.
It'll be a sitcom.
I mean, people gonna throw Wayans Brothers. They're gonna put the Jamie Foxx show. They're gonna put Frasier. They're gonna put but ain't nobody touching Martin. I'm sorry. No, it's not happening.
Some people might put Frasier up. Not Frasier.
Seinfeld.
That'd be 80. No, I didn't like care for Seinfeld.
Friends.
The one where there's in the bar. There's in the bar. I think that might have been 80s.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
is that 80s or 90s?
Yeah, it's 80s. There's 80s into the 90s, kind of like Cosby's.
I think Cheers would be up there though if it was in the list.
Next we should do 80s because 80s has some good sitcoms too, man.
No, man. I know. Hey, we should also do, man. One time we should do the top kids fighting shows like Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, and all that, bro.
Man, let's do it, man. Because I
can't really do it because everybody know we gonna put Power Rangers at the top.
Yeah, but man, people forget about Super Samurai. What was it? Man,
Mask.
It was some classic.
No, Mask one.
Beetleborgs.
Beetleborgs. It was a lot of them that came out once Power Rangers hit off big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's our top 5, man. We owe that thing, bro. 90 sitcoms, man. Our list was pretty similar, man. Stuff I had Roseanne there too. Keith didn't like that too much.
Crazy.
But, Roseanne was my show. I thought Connors was gonna be good until she started sucking out her side of her neck and they I mean the show's still going on, but I think with her on it would have been better. With Roseanne on it would have been better. But it is what it is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's KLG's top 5, man. Let's get into this topic, man. This one, the timing of this topic is almost perfect. And I'm not saying that in a way of greatness, but in a way of it's timely. With the mass shootings that just happened in Alabama, where was the other one that and there've been a number on
Kansas City.
The
Kansas City shooting.
Yeah, so there's been a number of shooting, man. So today, man, we're gonna go over the controversial topic of gun control. We'll talk about gun control.
Can I just say something real quick though, kid?
Go ahead.
Jess, I need our listeners to understand that there has been more mass shootings in this year than there have been days in the calendar. That's insane. Yeah. There's been more mass shootings in our country than there are days that have been days in the calendar this year so far. That's crazy.
That's sad, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, man, we're going to talk about the subject, man. Y'all know how we do this, man. We always go with history. We always talk about history and bring it forward, right? And so let's talk about guns and gun control. Where did it start? Man, we know where it started. Everybody go to the Constitution, but but why was it put in the Constitution? What was the purpose of it? I mean, since you're the historian, I'm gonna let you tell that backstory of why is it in the Constitution? What was the purpose of having guns? What was that the background of that time?
So we got to understand that back during the historical time, people lived and survived by hunting. So most people, most families had a rifle that could afford a rifle. But we got to think about when we start settling here and the British start really taxing the colonists, and they start having those quartering acts where British soldiers were able to take over a home at any point in time and live in that home and had to be fed and took care of by the colonists living there, that it created a fear, right? It only created a fear, but as we started to fight for the freedom of this country from the tyrannical British government, one thing the United States had to do was field the army. I think this is very important for us to understand that the Second Amendment didn't come out of a right to didn't necessarily come out of an individual right, right? We look at the Bill of Rights as these individual rights for people. It didn't come out of individual right. It came out of a need, right?
Mm-hmm.
It came out of a need that the colonists needed to field an army. In order to field the army, everybody you had to own a weapon. In some colonies, I want to say Connecticut. Tell me if I'm wrong, everybody out there, where at least one male in every family had to own a gun. That was a law, right? There was a need there was a need to be met, and that need was to fill a militia to fight against the British Army. That's the original. So I just want to make it clear that the original need for guns was to hunt and feed yourself, but then it became a need to fill an army, and then it became an individual right when we established our Constitution. So a lot of people believe that this gun ownership, this gun freedom came from that Second Amendment that built Second Amendment of rights. But it came. The founding fathers will sit here and tell you that this came from a need, right? There was a specific need to be met, and so there was an increase in the need and the want for civilians to have weapons. That turned into this Second Amendment right because of the success of ownership during the Revolutionary War. It became an individual right. But let's be clear, it became an individual right, a fundamental right for certain individuals. If you were black, if you were a slave, if you were a Catholic, if you were Jewish, you can own a gun. You didn't have that right. So let's be clear. We argue about the fundamental rights for gun ownership and gun, but that wasn't afforded to everybody. It was individual right afforded to certain individuals, and so the historical piece is about the need that was met to build militias, and so that's the history and the foundation of the Second Amendment rights for gun ownership.
And this is good for us to talk about that and talk about that Second Amendment right, because that's what's used in the current days to justify the right to have guns, the right to bear arms, the right for this right to not be stripped away from people. And I don't disagree with the fundamental thought process of it, right? I don't disagree with why it was established, right? But there comes a time where we have to see things for what they are, and I hate to say this, but it just seems like this is falling along political lines, and we try our best, even though we have our own views and our own concepts and our own thoughts about this, to try to view this from both sides, right? We try to view it from both sides. That's why a lot of times y'all hear me say I'm playing devil's advocate. So I understand the fundamental right, right? But as we stated before we started out here, the increase in mass shootings, school shootings, gang shootings, from that time until now, it's per capita, it's out of control. It's significantly out of control. And I had to put in that per capita in there because, of course, population has grown significantly since those earlier times. So we have to review everything from a per capita standpoint. Keith's a historian. I'm the analytical side of it. So when it comes to this whole in the current, we just jump right into the current state of gun violence. Let's talk about them in general. Oh, not in general. Let's talk about them in sex. Let's go to the one where a lot of people try to use it as a crutch, and I don't know why they use it. It's such a dumb thing to use to defend the right to bear arms. Is gang violence and controlling gangs using guns and murders in inner cities. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the use of that as a tactic of the need to have guns.
So when you look at that as a need to have guns, you can't have that discussion without discussing how did guns infiltrate our inner cities, right? So there's always this discussion of inner city violence, protecting your home. Like let's be clear. I think we start off by being clear about our stance on guns. And I don't know if you want to get into that later.
No, let's go there. Let's go.
I'll tell you my personal feeling about the Second Amendment. So I believe in the right to bear arms. I believe in the right to have a weapon to protect your home. Now, I think we got to get to a point, Kevin, to where we understand it's okay to be pro and be pro, right? I'm explaining what I mean by that. Pro and pro, right? So I believe in pro ownership, gun ownership, but I'm also pro gun control, right? If the government, so for instance, if I have a 9mm and I use it to protect my home and I have a shotgun, but I also have an AR-15, right? That I just like to go and shoot at the range with, right? I'm sorry, I'll be honest with you, Kevin. This is just me personally. But if somebody's invading my home, I'm not going to pick up my AR-15. I'm going to pick up my Glock 19, right? So if the government told me right now that we're going to have abandon the ability to have semi-automatic rifles, I would turn on my AR-15.
So yeah, let's talk about that. I'll let you keep going. Let's talk about this whole semi-automatic weapon thing.
Yeah. So I would, because that is I have my weapons that protect my home, but that my AR-15 is for fun, to go to the range, to hunt, to do things like that. So I'm pro gun ownership, but I'm pro control because of how out of control it's getting. Right. So when you use the concept of, and we can talk the same thing about abortion, you can be pro-choice and still respect somebody's ability. So we'll talk about that another time. But I think what we got to understand is when we think about this, because as a gun owner, right, I think you have to analyze how these illegal guns are infiltrating these areas that people say they have to get guns to protect from. Right? How are semi-automatic weapons being put on the streets into the hands of 12 to 18-year-olds? How are we getting weapons that were used in military conflict overseas, not even on our own soil? Used in military conflict overseas are making their way back overseas into the hands and into urban communities to get more violence. And so we got to stop using that as a cop out. Oh, we got to protect ourselves from the dog and the hookah. No, we got to analyze, why is gun control so lax in our country that it's easy for those guns to infiltrate our streets. Right. That's a problem with gun control. That's a legit problem with our ability, our ability to keep guns out of illegal guns out of community speaks to our lack of gun control. Right. And I think some people mix that up of, oh, you want gun control to take my guns away from you. No, we just want to make sure that people who got the guns for the proper reason and using the proper way and through the proper ways of getting them, have them, and not the people who have been getting them illegally or should not have them due to a felony, a mental situation. That there are laws in place to protect society from people who will maliciously use these weapons. It's not about taking yours away.
So
it's about preventing those who shouldn't have them from having them.
So my stance on gun control is absolutely just like yours. I believe, or the right to bear arms. I believe that is a right. I think everybody should, if they want to, have a weapon to protect their home. And I personally think that right shouldn't be taken away. I think that right should stand firm. That Second Amendment right should stand firm. But just because the right to bear arms stand firm doesn't mean we shouldn't control what we could bear. Right? Semi-automatic, automatic weapons have no use. Mm-hmm. No use for. And I'm gonna make this clear. Have no use for anything in the United States of America. People say hunting. What's wrong with a rifle? It's not a semi-automatic rifle. Regular rifles have been used to hunt for years. People still use regular rifles to hunt for years. Why do you need an AR-15 to hunt? That is a military-grade weapon. Why do you need an AK-47 to hunt? That's a military-grade weapon. Why are military-grade weapons necessary? Now, what if somebody pushes back and says, back in our history, we needed to form militia, right? And before I get to that, I'm going to talk about the inner city before I get to that. Now, one thing I always want to say, and I said this before on another topic of discussion, is that whenever something involves money or the dollar, it seems like we're so hesitant to regulate it. Why are these guns getting into these hands of these people? The dollar. Why does their people don't want regulation of guns? The dollar. All right. But now let me get back to what I was saying about the militia. What do some people say? Back in those old times, we needed to form militia. The militia needed to be prepared. So having these military-grade weapons, it's good to establish a militia just in case we get invaded or somebody come attack our company. What if somebody use that as a method or a metaphor of thinking of why they should have an AR-15? That's not a bad thought process, right? As far as that was necessary in the time. But man, before you go, I just want to say, the United States of America has the best military in the world. There is no greater military than the United States of America. We would know well in advance that we need to have we need to have AR-15s to defend our homeland. We will know well in advance if that's necessary. Right now, there is nothing that says we need semi-automatic, automatic weapons in the disposal of civilian people. There's nothing.
And I'm going to tell everybody that I am a owner of an AR-15, and I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree. And I'm an owner, right? So if somebody made that argument, right? It's a couple things we have to understand about why that's not a valid argument. Because any militia operating in outside of the confines of the American military is in my opinion, how can I say this? I don't want to offend, but they're not operating on the values of our American government, or they don't believe in the values of our American government. Because you see, our military has it's stacked to prevent those things. You got the National Guard, we have reserve, like it's stacked in a way to protect from foreign invasion. It's stacked to protect from if we need to go to overseas conflict. And so there's absolutely no need for that. We also got to understand that the amount of money we spend on our military in the United States to make sure that you have the freedoms that you have, the next country who spends the next most amount in the United States spends less than, I think I want to say and I may be completely wrong on this number, but I'm pretty sure I'm very close, around 13%. Right, we spend a lot of money to protect the freedoms of this country, and I think our government is doing a good job with the way it has stacked its military to ensure that day to day that we can walk around with the freedoms that they've established for our country,
and not just the military,
right? So
though,
to me,
but policing.
Yeah, and so you're right. So that's not a valid enough argument for me to say we need it in case of foreign invasion. No, that's not valid. I think we have the best coastal defense system in the world. We have federal to state run, state focused, I'm gonna say run because all run by the federal government, but state focused military entities to protect us at every angle, if that comes to it. But we got to stop operating in what ifs. It's okay to prepare to be planned, but let's stop operating in what ifs. All right. The last time, and I'm going to say this, the last time America's democracy has been attacked on this soil was on January 6th. What was that, 2021? 22? 21? 21, right?
21. So
before that,
people know what we're talking about.
Right. Before that, it was September 11th with planes. And even in those two instances, our government was able to amass itself and collect itself to counter strike or protect those acts with the necessary force. So that's not a good enough argument for me for the need for semi-automatic weapons. Now you also have people who are taking these semi-automatic weapons and literally you can change one part of the weapon and turn it automatic. You could take the stock. Some of them you can just change the stock of the weapon and it turns it automatic. And we're putting those on. Are we giving people those capabilities in our nation? But for what? What are we What are we putting these weapons in the hands of people for? You said it. You're completely right. It's the dollar. It's 100% the dollar. Because the one thing you can guarantee, Kevin, if nothing loses its values, weapons don't. Guns don't. Guns rarely lose value. And that's what it is. You can't tell me the value of you can't tell me the necessary need of a AR-15 or AK-47 in your daily protection of your home. I'm sorry, because there's no gun owner on here to say if somebody's taking a home, the first weapon you're going to pick up is your AK-47 or AR-15. If you do, man, you better have time to load that thing up and get it cracking. But most of us are going to pick up, the handgun. Home defense can't be your argument for it. Home defense, state defense, community defense cannot be your argument for the need for a semi-automatic weapon. And that's just my opinion.
No, I agree. So another, what I want to ask you, and I want to have a little bit of input on this is, and I'll just give my input first. So as like me, you agree that there need to be some laws established on the use of when it comes to gun control. Not taking away guns, not because that's a big talk. Nope. Like you're going to take away our right. No, nobody's talking about taking away the right to have a gun. We are talking about taking away the right to have automatic weapons. I totally agree. Taking away the right for anybody to have automatic weapon. That's something you might disagree on. The people automatic weapons. I don't get the purpose of them. So, but if you could write a legislation in the simplest form of what it would take for gun ownership, to lose gun ownership. What would that legislation look like? What would that look like?
You know, it's funny that you asked that question because I was talking about this today with somebody. And the first thing I think there has to be. I think what we're doing now is we're going backwards and we're taking away. We making it easier to get guns. For instance, here in Texas, I walked into Whole Foods and they had a fully weapon on the hip, not even concealed. You don't even need a gun card or anything in Texas to carry. You can carry on the street as long as you're of age. What I would do, I think there has to be, and this is just, once again, my opinion, people, you can agree to disagree or what have you. And that's what we're here for, to agree to disagree, and to have discussions about this. But I think there needs to be some type of, mental health check. I also think that I think the permit is necessary. Maybe if you want to loosen up and say you can carry once you have the permit, that's fine. But I think that's necessary, that so we can track where the gun ownership is. I also think we're talking about it today, and when I was thinking during this discussion, like, what does it take for you to lose gun ownership right now? And this is, once again, I'm prefaces by my opinion. I think any domestic act of violence should hinder your ability to get a weapon. I think domestic violence, whether it's a felony or a misdemeanor, should some way, I'm not saying take it away, but should hinder it. Right? I think we have to have laws that hinder the ability of people who commit violent crimes from getting weapons, whether it's a misdemeanor or felony. We know a lot of those violent crimes are underreported, right? Especially domestic violence is very underreported. But when it is reported, there needs to be some consequences. And I just think, at least at the minimum, we need to start focusing on mental health, and we need to focus on violent crime. Right. If you commit a violent crime and you get caught with it, you lose some type of right to get a weapon, whether for a few years, whatever it is, whatever can be come up with. And then you do it again. I think it's a 2 strikes you out. Ain't no 3. I think we need to make it very difficult, because then what we're doing now by making it easier to access weapons and easier to get weapons and easy to carry is making it harder to identify who's supposed to have them, who legally is supposed to have them. Right, because right now, we can go down to here in Texas, and I can go down to let's say I go down to a local gang or group that I know are involved in violent crime, and I actually, as a police officer, really can't do anything if they have that weapon legally. If they bought that weapon, right? We have to have some regulation of those who have committed violent crimes. And I'm saying this because, felonies is already, you're off the table, but even misdemeanors, there have to be some recourse and some consequence for gun ownership for all violent crime. And I think we need to really look at the mental health system and gun ownership as far as that goes. But
so I agree with everything you said, and you mentioned mental health, so I want to jump in here. First of all, I think it's just too easy to buy guns. The access to guns, buying guns, is just way too easy to buy guns in the United States of America. But on to the mental health side of it. So it's crazy how the laws and regulations for gun purchases and gun permitting high change state to state, because here in Illinois, we're way more strict than what Texas is. Like Texas being able to, here in Illinois, being able to access a gun is difficult. And then when it comes to mental health facility, well, I talked about this before about I spent a little time in some days in a mental health facility. Why? That's a whole nother discussion. And I had a FOID card. I could legally own a firearm. And one day, a couple of days later, 3 sheriffs pull up to my house looking for me and wanted me to turn on my FOID card and any guns I had in the house for spending a few days in a mental health facility. Why I was in there, it's a whole nother story. But Illinois is way more strict when it comes to that. And to get it back, I have to wait. I have to wait 5 years from that time to get my FOID card back. And I can tell everybody this: I'm not mad with Illinois' law on that. I'm not mad that my FOID card got taken away and I can't access a firearm over that situation that I was in. Yes, because something's more to that story. But am I mad that that's Illinois' law? Absolutely not. I think anybody that have any type of mental health crisis should be limited to owning a firearm. It should be that
limited.
Way. They should be limited to owning a firearm. And look, for me, it's not forever. It's not forever, but I do have to. They do have to show certain steps in progress in order to re-access the firearm or the FOID card. Right? You have to show. And comparing that to Texas, where you can just carry and do whatever you want, it's crazy how from state to state that varies so much. And once again, to be all honest, it's along political lines. Hate to say it, but it's definitely along political lines. But I'm not mad with Illinois for that rule. I think mental health has to be a focus on it, because every time you hear about a mass shooting or a killing or something like that, except for gang stuff, even though gang murders and killings are mental health issues, but we don't want to talk about that, right? But every time I hear about a mass shooting or something like that, you hear, oh, he had issues, but he can go and just purchase a gun all willing. Make that make sense. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And it's actually, I'm glad you brought up this up, because you're right. I don't think people understand the ease of owning guns from state to state, right? And how much easier, like Illinois has a clip requirement. You only can carry a certain amount of bullets in your clip with a certain amount of number. Man, I can go right now for my Glock 19 and get a 30-round drum and not get in trouble. They have some things here about the types of bullets, but
hey, check out this though. I can't get my FOID card license because of my situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I move to Texas, in Illinois, I can't. But if I was to move to Texas, can I access a gun if I'm now a resident of Texas?
Here, no. Like so that's the tricky trick. So, and I was getting ready to say that. So technically, no, right? You can't get a gun, right? Because you're going to be in the federal system of because your state is a FOID card state, it goes in the FBI system, right? So they'll be able to look at when you fill out that. Look, you'll be able to fill out that form. However, Kevin, I'm gonna tell you how easy this is. I don't want to give any suggestions, but I just want people to understand how easy it is. All you have to do is check no, or have somebody else go buy it for you. It's pretty. If you want a gun, you can get it, right. It's not like I can't, like there's so many steps in Illinois you got to jump through to get, like if I go to a gun shop and buy a gun, there's steps. And matter of fact, in some places they gonna hold the gun for a few days, right? I think that's the law to Illinois. Like they hold it before you can actually get. Man, if I have a gun card, if I have my gun card, I'm taking that gun home when I pay for it. They're gonna run off. I'm taking that gun home. Like there's no waiting period unless I don't have a card. Like it is so easy. But then also, come on, people. That's why. What state leading in school shootings? Texas. I mean, it's just amazing how you write how it's so easy from place to place to access well, not easy, but the difference is from place to place to access a weapon. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's how it should be. Right. I think there should be common regulations.
So devil's advocate moment. What about the thought process? I was just thinking about this now. Of yes, Texas might have the highest school shootings, but what about the states that have better gun control regulations, having the highest homicide per gang violence, stuff like that? So, for instance, Illinois has a strict policy when it comes to guns, but the killings in Chicago are off the roof. California have strict gun laws, but the gang violence, New York, but the gang. What about people that say that there's strict gun laws, but still this is happening?
Easy answer for me. I guarantee the number of illegal weapons in those states are much higher they are in Texas. And that's and I guarantee most of those crimes are done with illegal weapons that have been infiltrating those communities. Right? And that's what I'm saying. Like this is just my opinion. I think the more of a handle we get around gun control, the more we can control the illegal weapons that are in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's so easy to sell a gun, or I like if serial numbers are scratched off a gun and they there should be a consequence for you having a gun with serial numbers scratched off. There's you can't make that argument, because most of those guns that are committing those crimes are acquired illegally. We have to deal with how illegal weapons are infiltrating or being input into our communities. That's the problem, but we can't do that until we can have gun control, right? Because it's still so easy to access. If I wanted to drive to Texas and buy a weapon and then drive it back to a certain state. Yes, certain states have reciprocity with their gun laws. So there's actually, if you look at it and you look at the map, there are certain states you can drive through to get back to your state with that gun, because they have reciprocity with Texas laws. And so we have to find out how can we have gun control that's equitable to everybody. And until we figure that out, or I'm going to say everybody, that's equitable to the majority, because there's still going to people who say, you're not taking my guns, come and take, right? You're still going to have that. But for how guns that's equitable to the majority, until we do that, we can't, it's going to be very difficult to address the illegal guns that are on the streets. It's going to be very hard because the access will still be there.
Yeah. So the analytic in me, I was like, let me do some research. And my research is based on this. We are bordered by 2 countries. Let me look at those 2 countries and see what their gun laws is. Also, let me look at data on 2 countries that are military. I don't want to say equals, but on the level of us militarily. Russia, China. So I was looking at this, man, and looking at the gun laws of Canada and how strict Canada has in their legislation about semi-automatic, automatic weapons. Canada restricts them to certain people. We always hear on news right now about people attacking people in Mexico at resorts, the killing. Mexico, this country that y'all think is so bad when it comes to violence, restricts certain weapons. They all restrict these certain weapons. But check out this though. If the international comparison of gun-related killings of all homicides in these countries. Let's talk about the UK, which is probably military power equal, close, not equal, because ain't nobody touching us militarily.
No.
The UK, The percentage of all homicides, which ones are gun related? 4%. Okay? 4% of all homicides, 4%. Australia, 13%, a little higher. Cool. Our northern neighbors, Canada, 37% of all homicides are gun related. What do you think the U.S. is? 79%.
Yeah, I was gonna put it above 75.
79% are gun related homicide. Of all homicides, 79% are gun related. But yet, Canada at 37% regulates semi-automatic guns. They have regulations for gun control. Mexico, gun control. UK, gun control. That is ridiculous. And I have another map here. We're going to get the school shooting and mass shootings of the number of school shootings in 2023 on a world map. So the highest we go to is 300, and it's a dark blue color. Every country on here, and the lowest is like a light yellow, and that's 0%. All these countries on this map are either yellow or white, which means there's no data. Yellow, white. You want to know what the only country that has a color besides yellow is? The United States of America at 288. In 2023, people, we're only in April.
More
Y'all don't see
in the number of days we have used in this year. It's crazy.
Y'all understand that there's a problem here, right? Check out more data. No, I'm a data guy. The United States. What do you think we're ranked in mass shootings? What do you think we're ranked? Dude, number one. And Keith, not only are we number one,
you ain't got to ask that question.
It's not even. Number two ain't even close.
Close, yeah.
It's not even close. And people think we don't need gun reform. And we're right here, gun reform and all this, that they think we want, like, take the guns away from everybody. That is not what gun reform, that's not what gun law is. That is not what it is. It's controlling who has the weapons. It seems like, and this what it seems like people don't want change until it directly affects them. Until somebody in their family get killed. Until mass shooting. This one in Alabama, like, now all these families in Alabama are going on gun control. Like, if Uvalde, Texas, like, and I hate talking about Uvalde, Texas, because we could get school shooting, but kids shootings bother me to my core. But why do we have to wait till it directly affects us to want change, to make change? And that's in anything. It shouldn't have to directly affect us for us to want this change. And we're not trying to just take away everything, people, man. Like, I understand you want your right. I understand you want that constitutional thing. But man, can we do something different, man? And these statistics just blew my mind, man. It just blew my mind.
I'm just gonna just not really push back a little bit, but I want to push back a little bit on those the Alabama families wanted control. Now, I'm going to say this, and I may be wrong, but I highly doubt it. But I would say the Black community has always wanted some form of gun control.
Yeah, so that shooting was in our community. I will say that was right in our community. And so
but this goes back to the other problem I was talking about. I think us as a Black community, we see the daily violence in our community, and I would say the general urban Black community wants some type of form of gun control and get those guns off the streets. But guess what? We don't know how. We don't have the ability to control that illegal pipeline of weapons that are coming on our streets. right? I think but with saying that, I don't think we can get to figuring that out until we can control the access to guns in our country in general. I think it's almost impossible. We can complain about the shootings in our communities. We can complain about the stuff. We can want gun control in our impoverished communities and our urban communities, but these are illegal pipelines of weapons. And until there's some type of regulation of the legal pipeline of weapons, we can't identify the illegal pipeline of weaponry. And that's what I'm saying. I want people to understand that gun control is not only to save the lives of individuals, but I think it also creates a judicial process that allows us to find out where these illegal weapons are coming from and trying to break that pipeline so they don't infiltrate our cities, so we can decrease the murder rates in our inner cities and the access to weapons to commit within our urban communities. I think once we get to I don't think we can fix one without the other. Yeah. I don't think we can fix one without the other. And I just want to, I just wanted to say that we as a community, have sought gun control, but gun control is not going to, gun control itself, of legal gun control, itself does not, it will, by doing it, we will be able to expose the problem of illegal guns infiltrating our communities.
Yeah. I have one more stat I want to give. I just saw this one. I just feel like this one's very interesting. It's called the top 10 civilian gun owning countries. This is an estimated number of firearms per 100 residents. Now, these numbers baffle me. It says estimated number of firearms per 100 residents. Ready? I'm going to go from the bottom. Iceland, 31.7. Lebanon, which it's always in conflict, 31.9. Finland, 32.4. Cyprus, 34. Canada, or no the border, 34. Uruguay, 34. Serbia, 39. Yemen, who's always in conflict, 52. Per 100 people. United States is 120.5. Every 100 people, 120.5 of them. And anybody that don't know math, 120 is over 100. It's higher than 100. 120 guns per 100 civilians in the United States of America. It's not even 100%. It's not even everybody got a gun. It's not even that. It's everybody got more than one gun.
Yeah.
Bro, that number is flabbergasting. But that number is crazy to me. But I wanted to talk about like mass shootings and all that, school shootings. And I got to start talking about a little bit how school shootings bother me to my core. And we all know, I've discussed before that my son has autism, man. And every time there's a school shooting, I think to myself, and I hate thinking about it, is that if a gunman ran into my son's school right now and started shooting, my autistic son wouldn't know what was going on. He wouldn't know to run, to hide, nothing. Bro, that scares me, man. Mm-hmm. That scares me. That my autistic son wouldn't even know that this is a bad thing and he should run and hide. Like, so every time I hear about these school shootings and these kids getting killed, like I wonder, like, what if that was my son? When is this gonna end? When are we gonna say it's too many babies dying over people with issues, cowards? Because for you to go into a school and shoot, you're a coward. You're a coward. Like, when is that not enough to say things gotta change, man. When is that not enough? I get the Las Vegas shooting, and all the shootings are bad. All these mass shootings are bad, man. But when babies are getting killed, man, I don't get it. I don't get the pushback. Do you want, or are you waiting for your kid to get shot and killed? Is that what we're waiting for? Because I'm not gonna wait for my kid to get shot and killed. I promise you. I get a call that anything going up my son's school. But it's just scary, man. It's scary.
Yeah, it is, especially being fathers of younger kids, especially. But it's happening to our older kids as well. But even in our practices of how kids should prepare for these events, is kind of scary. And the fact that they have to prepare for these events is scary. Even going through, as an educator, going through lockdown drills. For me as an educator, it's scary that I have 800 and something kids, 900 kids who are gonna be afraid for their lives, and in regards of what we train them on doing, the fact with regards to how much training we're doing, like this is a real possibility for them. All right, that's scary. That's sad. It brings tears to your eyes because it's like that. This is This is a possible threat for our kids. But the fix is not arming teachers. It's not the fix. The fix is gun control. Right? The fix is until people start realizing that our kids are now living in fear every day when they go into their school. There's always a little ounce of fear, whether that's from guns or fentanyl. It's a problem. And these are two uncontrollable things, two things, well, they're controllable, but we can't seem to get our hand on it. But you said earlier, money rules the world. Money rules the world. But our kids are dying. They're dying of gun violence at a place where they are supposed to be being educated so they can be the next leaders in the next generation of leaders for our country. And they're dying at a place where that is literally their second home. And they can't even find peace in their second home because it's infested with a fear of gun violence and drug violence. Our kids shouldn't be living like this. Our kids should not be living like this. Right now, if I was to go to my school and say, this is a lockout drill. Now, a lockout drill meaning there's something going on outside. It could be a wild dog, a wild pig. It could be a dog. It could be, we've had coyotes, right? Or it could be the police are chasing the suspect. There's been a shooting in the community. However, Kevin, if I call it a lockout drill, kids will panic thinking that it's a lockdown drill and there's an assailant in the building. I can call a teachers, please keep kids inside the classroom. And kids are going to assume that there's a threat on campus. It could be a sick kid. We just don't want nobody to see him in the hallway as we transport them. But our kids are daily living in these fears due to our inabilities as adults to come together and say enough is enough, and we have to protect through this process, whether that's gun control, gun laws, whatever. All because of the mighty dollar. That's a problem, people. I'm sorry. I would give up my AR-15 today for free for the safety of every kid in my building. I would take it. You would take every gun in my house. Take it. If it's going to protect lives, take it. If it's going to let us start the process of healing and figuring out where the illegal guns come from and dealing with the mental health issues with gun ownership, take them. Because a life is not worth, a gun is not worth a life. It never will be. You have a kid who goes to the wrong door in Kansas City to pick up his brothers and sisters, rings the doorbell, rings the doorbell, and is shot point blank in the head, and then shot again. Thank God that boy lived. This is what was it yesterday? A couple of days ago? Yeah, it was recent. Thank God he lived. But that's our response now, that we're living in so much fear, that our response is to shoot a young man through a door, and guess what? And then say, okay, I was standing my ground. And by the way, the man's not in jail. It's a problem. Certain people shouldn't have guns. And until we're able to regulate that, this is going to continue to be a problem. We're still going to have mass shootings. We're still going to have school shootings. We're still going to have illegal guns in our communities. It's not going to stop until we do something about it.
You brought this up, and I just want to say something real quick. Stand your ground law is stupid. It's just so stupid. Think about how stupid it is. If somebody do something to me and I feel a harm and I take out my gun, shoot them, naturally it's self-defense. Naturally. Why do I need to stand your ground law? Why do I need that law? When naturally, in most states, it's deemed self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
But to create a law that gives people a cop-out to murder is baffling to me. The stand your ground law, and I don't care how anybody feel about it, and you say, what's stand your ground law? It's the dumbest law in y'all book. Mm-hmm. If the facts come out that you were defending yourself, then what's the point of the law? What's the point of that law but just give people a backy outing of trying to get out of something that they did wrong? I don't get the point of the law. That's just me.
I don't get the point of the law because it's only seemed to be working for one group of people.
I wasn't gonna say it, but you did. I wasn't gonna say it, but you did. No, I'm just saying.
It only seemed to be working. You got somebody in Florida who shot in the air. Shot in the air. And got a couple decades?
That baffled me.
Mm-hmm.
Baffling.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to do some people. And until it's equitable, until it's focused on the safety and health of all, Kevin, this is not going to stop.
It ain't.
It's not going to stop. But guess what? They're going to keep promoting. It was a shooting in an urban community and killings in the urban community, and they're gonna thrive on that, and they're gonna put it in the news. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to address that illegal gun ownership until we control the rest of the gun ownership in our country. I'm sorry, whether you like it or not. And I'm going to say it again. I'm a gun owner. I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to. So stop making it a cop out of saying, oh, they're killing their own people in their community. Yeah, those illegal weapons. We'll never be able to address that until we address gun ownership in our country. We never will.
So why? We talked about that before. I don't even know why that's even a response. Like, I don't know why that's a response. They kill each other in their own community. Black on black crime, black on black murder. We talked about that already. We ain't gonna go back into that, down that rabbit hole. You know where that stems from, man. But all in all, man, owning guns isn't a bad thing. Having a gun isn't a bad thing. Want to protect your family is not a bad thing. But man, we agree on this. We just want a little more regulation. I don't want to use the word control, but what'd you say?
Regulation.
Regulation, like, it's okay to have a weapon, man. It's okay, like, but there should be certain criteria, certain standards, certain reviews and analysis of who can get a gun, why you getting it. Like, it shouldn't be so. plain and simple, it shouldn't be so easy. It just shouldn't be so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's TuVues' opinion. There's plenty of people that are gonna have their own, and to each their own. But guess what? By these percentages and these killings, and somebody wrong. Somebody's wrong. The simple.
And let's make it clear. Let's make it clear for TuVues, for the TuVues podcast. It's okay to disagree peacefully, y'all. Y'all don't have to agree with us. We're just giving you facts. We're just giving you our perspective. And this will, as we go into more topics that are kind of politically polarizing, that it's okay to disagree in love, right? It's okay to say I disagree with you. It's okay. I disagree with you. That's totally fine, right?
My disagreement ain't gonna stem from hate.
Yep, but like Kevin said, data's there.
It's
Data
right
speaks. Somebody
I don't
lying.
In order, and me to be the evil twin, if you're gonna disagree with me, you better come with some facts. So all I'm saying, you better come with some facts.
If you want to address illegal guns and killings in our communities, we have to address gun ownership, which will give us the foundation to find out where the illegal guns are coming from. And if you want to create stricter laws for the access of illegal guns, I'm all for it. You want to throw the book at them? I'm all for it. But we can't do it without a system of laws that govern our access to weapons. You can't.
And then I want to say this: examine your heart. Examine your heart. The heart posture. We talk about heart posture. Examine your heart. Why is it so important for you to want to have a gun? Why is that so important? Why does harming another person, why is that so important to you? To protect your family, I get it. That's love. But beyond that, if we do everything in love, we get back to a place of love. We have the right heart posture. Shouldn't be too many need for weapons. But this world is evil, right? And like we said throughout this whole thing,
I wish it was that easy.
Dollar rules the world, man. Dollar literally rules the world. Literally. The US dollar. Right? So, man, that's just our opinion, man. Disagree, agree, feel free. But just do it in respect, do it in love. Because I'm not a comment reader when it's getting negative. I don't do all that stuff. But we love everybody. There's nobody I hate. There's nobody I want.
Regardless of what your view is, we love you.
Yeah, there's nobody I want to do too much for, anything for. But man, we just gotta see things with clear eyes, clear eyes, clear mind, and that's just us, man. This TuVues, Always remember PYP, man. Always remember PYP. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. That's our slogan, man. We're gonna start protect our peace, man. That's our thing. Protect your peace. Always act in love.
Yeah, we love y'all, and we'll see y'all next time.
TuVues.